What is up, guys? Welcome back to This Is My Story. Today I'm going to be telling a story about being locked up in a mental institution and eventually finding myself in a padded room. I'd mentioned it in my last video. If you haven't seen that, it's a story about me shooting one of my best friends when I was 14 years old, which led me down a path of depression, drugs, and alcohol, which ultimately led to me, well, being in a mental hospital. And I'll tell you my experience inside of a padded room and what goes along with that. So I'll leave the link to the other video in the description. So this is my story. This happened, the shooting happened when I was 14. About a year and some change into it. I had been going to a lot of counseling and stuff. I'd lost my stepdad, and then the shooting happened within a month and a half of each other, I think. And I was seeing a lot of therapists and counselors, and they weren't doing a very good job. Some of them would I'd show up, they wouldn't be there. They'd cancel, and I was spiraling pretty hard. And anytime I did talk to them, they just wanted me to tell them the story. And I don't think they were really uh, set up to handle such an extreme story from such a young kid. So they would just have me tell the story over and over and over just to like make it easier to talk about. But they weren't really solving any of the issues I was having. So this came to a boiling point. I was just about to turn 16. I had failed the eighth grade. I just looked at those report cards not too long ago. It was pretty depressing looking. I got a C in PE and an F in everything else. I think my highest grade out of all my other classes was a 38 or something. I missed a lot of school with, my stepdad's death, me shooting my friend, and, a lot of therapy and stuff. So my mom switched me schools because after the shooting, the small town we lived in, 300 people, it just wasn't going to work out for me. Uh, a lot of people didn't like me after that. They all had certain opinions about things and rumor mill. And so we just went ahead and moved to the town that, was bigger, had a bigger school. I think I had 280 kids in my class this time. So I'm the new kid. I come in, I'm a troubled teenager. A lot of things going on in my life. And now I got to try to fit in somewhere in a world I don't feel like I fit in regardless. And so about a month or two into it at home, my mom's got a new boyfriend. Like I said, this about a year and a half. I hate the guy. He's a little short guy. And you know how short people are. No offense, short people, but you guys got attitudes. Um, and it got to the point where I was seriously contemplating, committing suicide, killing myself. And that's something I haven't really told anybody. As a matter of fact, this story, not a lot of people have heard just because it is embarrassing. You feel a great deal of embarrassment for something like that. And being the new kid in school, you know, I just, I'd been there a month before I got admitted to this place. So my eighth grade year, I show up, I'm the new kid. I meet some people. I start kind of getting, a few friends and stuff, and then I disappear. I go to the hospital and then come back, and everybody, where'd you go? And I didn't tell anybody. I was just like, oh, I had some shit to do or something. I don't know what I told them, but I would never admit to it. Even my closest friends, a lot of them have never heard this story. I was ashamed of it for a long time, but now I don't really give a shit. So, like I said, I was just about to turn 16, I believe. So I turned 16 as soon as I started my freshman year. I remember I was the first one in my class to get a driver's license, and that really helped out. So, like I said, I was in a lot of deep depression. I was smoking weed. I was doing a lot of drinking, experimenting with some other drugs, whatever I get my hands on, some pills, whatever, some coke every now and then. Uh, I'm a downers. I was a downers kid. I like downers. So coke was expensive. Didn't really do it, but if it was there, hey. But lots of pills, OxyContin, Xanax, stuff like that. So all that's going down. I'm spiraling out of control. Home life isn't good. Like I said, I hated my mom's boyfriend. I I didn't fit in at school. However, I did have a little group of friends that would end up being, what I would consider my lifelong friends, my good friendships. So it got to the point to where I was like really I was gonna do this. Like I had made up my mind that I was gonna kill myself, and I I couldn't see like taking a bunch of pills or something, or like trying to hang myself or cutting myself. I don't like pain, so that was all out. So I needed to get my hands on a gun again. The last time I had touched a gun was when I shot my friend. So I was like, all right, if I can find a gun, I'll do this. I'll pull this off. However, there was no guns in my house uh, for obvious reasons. My mom's boyfriend didn't have one, but the way that this all played out is I had wrote a note, like, you know, and it was actually song lyrics from an old Twisted song or something. It's a song about suicide. So I had wrote these lyrics down, and I was kind of going over it like, am I really going to do this? Let me put it on paper and see how I feel. And I did, and I stuffed it in my bed or whatever. And I guess one day when I was out partying or whatever at school, my mom had went through my room and she found this note, and it scared the shit out of her. Which, going through it all, I hated her for it. But now, I mean, she made the right call. Execution wasn't right, but I guess when you're a parent, you got to do what you got to do. So she finds the note and she contacts this place called Royal Oaks Hospital. Mental hospital is a behavioral health place. It's an inpatient thing. So I come home from school one day, and this is like the day or two after I had wrote this note. I remember feeling okay at this point. Like I kind of got that off my chest a little bit, and I'm still in the crossroads. Like, we'll, stay on the planet a few more days, see what happens. And I come home and she's there. She's got her boyfriend's there or whatever, and she's like, "Hey, I think it's a Friday." She's like, "I need you to go pack 4 days worth of clothes." And so I kind of get excited. I'm like, "Oh shit, a vacation! This is exactly what I need, like, to get away." I'm gonna pause for a second. All right, so I think I'm going on vacation. So I run into my room. I get, like, what do I need to pack? Shorts, swim trunks. What do I got? She's like, just get just normal clothes. 4 days worth of clothes. Where are we going? She won't tell me. It's like, I can't tell you. So I'm excited. I'm like, yes, you know. It was almost like a relief. It's like, okay, this ain't gonna be so bad. So I pack my clothes up and stuff. We hop in the car, and I find this weird that it's just me and them. Like, about my older brother and my younger sister. Like, and then it's not adding up. They're not telling me where we're going. And I was like, finally, I was like, "Mom, where are we going?" She said, "We're gonna go get you help." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Well, there's this place, next couple towns over, and they're mental health professionals." I was like, so why do I have clothes? Because I've been to counseling for years, like I said, and you never had to have anything but the clothes you had on. She's like, no, this is an inpatient deal. You're going to stay there. And I was like, what? Like, for how long? And she couldn't answer. She's like, I don't know. It's like, so now the relief quickly went away, and just like a dark cloud rolled in, and I was like, what? So we kind of do our like intake thing. They ask you all your questions, what you're here for. And this is the first time that I realized that my mom had found that note. I had no idea until then. We're sitting in front of the counselor, and I tried to play it off. I was like, no, that's stupid. That's just song lyrics or whatever. And they left me there. Like, I couldn't believe it. Like, I was a mess, like crying, like, don't leave me here. And it was real weird. Like, I went in, and they introduce you. I think I had to go to group. They have all these other kids in there, and like really, really troubled kids, like legit. Like, they had some like mentally insane people in there. They also had like some misbehaved kids, like that were getting in fights, stealing, doing drugs. They had like a drug rehab program there. So it was a huge mix of like, well, mentally unstable kids. And so I'm in there. I feel like I'm normal. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm just sad. Like, my stepdad died. I shot my friend. I changed schools. I'm not really fitting in there. Just having a bad go. I'm playing down the whole suicide note thing. Like, no, that wasn't what it was. And I start meeting some of these people, and it starts to scare me because I'm like, well, they don't think they're crazy, and they're obviously crazy. Like, there was a girl in there that would like scratch one spot of her arm until it bled, and then just go to a different spot and just all day long. Her arms looked like they were covered in caterpillars almost because of how she would scratch, and then it would form a scab, and then she would move on, and her arms were destroyed. There was people that didn't say anything, that just stared off into space. There's people in there that, attacked their dad with a pool ball. One guy was in there for. So I'm like, dude, I'm just sad. Like, I don't get it. Like, why am I in here? And then, after a couple days, the deal was that I was in there. I was going to get some counseling. You meet with a therapist, whatever. They talk about what's wrong, what's going on in your life, and then you'll get, a treatment program, however long you need to be in there, however long they think you need to be in there. And after about day 3 or 4, I was like, man, I haven't, I'm telling people I haven't seen a counselor yet. I want to see a counselor. Like, I need to know how long I need to be in here. I want to go home. And I was always like, when am I going home? So phone calls, you only got, I think, maybe 1 or 2 a week or something like that. Visitation. This place is like 40, 50 miles away from where I live, so nobody was coming to see me. Uh, you're just kind of, I was stuck in a system that I was super afraid I was going to get lost in, that nobody cared. I couldn't talk to anybody on the phone. Nobody came to see me. It was like I was alone with these crazy people, and it almost made me think that I was crazy. I legit, for a little bit, like lost it. Like, do crazy people know they're crazy? No, they don't. They all think they're normal. And here I am in this place, like, I don't belong here. I'm normal. And that's what they're all saying. It's kind of like saying you're innocent in jail. Well, yeah, of course, right? We're all innocent. So I ended up getting a roommate. This place is kind of like jail in a sense. Like, we're not locked down, but there's no windows in your room. The window at the end of the hallway does have like a metal gate over it, so you can't jump out the windows and stuff. When you move from like group to did a lot of arts and crafts. Like when you move, everything's in a line. You walk alongside of the road or side of the wall. There's a person leading you. Everything's key card in and out. When you go to chow, they do give you metal silverware, but you have to check it back in, and you get searched. When you have visitation, you get strip searched, and you have to squat and cough and all that. So it was like that. Um, I ended up getting a roommate from the same town I was in. He was in there for drugs or something. He wasn't crazy, but he was a weird dude. We ended up, kind of getting close. I mean, you live in the same room together, and we would steal the scratchy girl. She hated taking her medicine. All the crazy people, they hate their meds. They definitely need them because when she wasn't on her meds, she was a nightmare. They were always chasing her around. The booty darts. They would run in these white coats, white pants, white shoes. These dudes, and they tackled you down and whatever it was, they'd stick it in your booty. They'd strap you to a gurney, and they would roll you into the padded room and let you chill out. And she was always in there. The booty dart team was always on her, and she hated taking her meds. So uh, me and my roommate were like, "Yo, see if she'll give them to us. If she ain't taking them, she's doing something with them. Probably flush them down the toilet." I was like, let's see what she's getting and see what's up. So we hit her up. She's like, "Yeah, I don't like taking that shit. I flush them down the toilet." It's like, well, next time you get some, save it. I'll take it. And so turns out they were giving her Demerol. Uh, yeah, that's pretty hardcore. I'd never done Demerol before or after this, but she was getting these big ass Demerol pills, and me and my roommate wait till lights out and go smash the pill up on the toilet in the bathroom and get annihilated at night. And I guess just passing time, man. There's only so many ashtrays you can make and arts and crafts. I didn't really give a shit about any of that. I don't want to draw pictures. I'm not here to make clay pots. Like, I don't care about any of that. I just want to go home. So it gets to about 2 weeks or something. I end up getting on the phone with my dad, and he's like, "What are you doing up there?" I was like, "I'm literally in a crazy house." I was like, "Dad, all these people are insane." I'm really mad at my mom at this point. I feel like she put me here. She's the reason I'm here. Um, she forced me into this situation, and now I have no light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know when I'm getting out. It's like week 2. I still haven't seen a counselor. Uh, I haven't been to their drug program or any. I don't do anything. I just go to arts and crafts, sit in the TV room and watch people drool on themselves or freak out. Watch people chase them around. Everybody's getting booty darts, and I'm like, what am I doing here? My roommate, he's in here for drugs. He's already got his counselor. He's going to drug classes. Everybody's like on the path to getting out in one way or another, or their fate's already sealed. But I'm just like in limbo. And so I tell my dad. He comes up. He's gonna come visit me, and he's like, "Can I bring you anything?" It's like, I don't think so. I don't know. Try to bring some playing cards or something, so me and my roommate could play cards at night. They end up letting me have the cards. He brought dice too, but they wouldn't let me have the dice. And when he came to visit, my biggest thing was my parents are divorced, so my dad didn't have primary custody. My mom did. She signed me in. He can't sign me out. He was like, I was like, "Dad, you got to do whatever you can to get me out of here. Like, talk to mom, tell her what's going on in here. Like, this is bullshit. Get me out of here." And he's like, "I'll see what I can do. And it doesn't happen. Uh, you know, 2 weeks turns into 3 weeks. My mom does come see me. Pretty hard on her to see me in there, I imagine. But she just kept saying like, you know, do what they say. Like, you need help, do what they say. Well, I'm fucking doing what they say. It's not working. And then, what was it, week 3, end of week 3 or so, I'm starting to get real antsy now. Doing a lot of staring out the window. At the end of our hallway, there was that gated window, and right across there was like a little field or something there, and you could see Sonic. Dude, and I just wanted some Sonic, damn slushy, and I would just sit there and think about like outside, and I was like, I'm in a mental institution, staring out the window. Like I think I am crazy. And then I just lost all hope. So me and my roommate ended up getting in trouble with the cards. We got bored and started throwing them at each other and shit. And the guy came in and was a huge asshole. And I was like, man, finally, I was like, fuck this whole thing. Fuck you. Fuck the staff. And I went off, and he was like, you need to calm down, or we're gonna give you a shot. And I was like, finally, I was like, I don't care. Like, freaked out. Was like, and I lost my shit. And we about got into it, and backup came in. They tackled me. And they take me. They didn't give me a booty dart. I don't know why they didn't give me one. But they take me to the padded room, and they're like, you need to sit in here and calm down. Throw me in there, close the door. Okay, so it's padded room. It is literally that. All the walls padded. I don't remember if the ceiling was padded. Probably not, but the floor wasn't padded. It was like a tile floor, like every school you've ever been in has, just a little 12 by 12 tiles. And I'm mad. I'm sitting in there, and I'm like, I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm in a fucking padded room. These people are never going to believe that I'm not crazy. Why would they? There's cameras and I think 2 corners. And I'm sitting in there thinking, plotting, like, how in the hell am I going to get out of here? And I'm looking down. And like I said, that crazy girl with the scratchies, she's in here every day. This is like her second bedroom. And I'm looking around, just kind of sulking, and I see like a little blood drop on the floor. And it's like kind of like a multicolored tile. It's not just like white. It's not one color. It's got speckles in it. And so I see it, and I was like, is that dried blood, or is that just tile? And I scratch out a little bit. It was blood. I was like, what the heck? And then I start noticing more. Some over here, and some over here, and some over there. And now I'm walking around looking, and there's literally blood drops all over this room. But it looks like it's the tile. And so I start freaking out. I don't know what she's got or whatnot. So I'm yelling at the cameras. I'm beating on the door. I'm like, hey, there's blood everywhere in here. You got to get me out. You got to get me out. And the whole time I'm thinking, God, dude, everything I do makes me look crazier. Like, it makes me look like I belong here. And so I beat on the door and yell at the cameras, stuff. About 30 minutes later, a guy comes to the window, and he's like, what's the problem? I was like, dude, there is blood everywhere in here. There is blood drops everywhere. I was like, crazy booty dart girls in here marking her territory or something. I don't know, but there's blood everywhere. Get me the F out of here. So they let me out, and he was like, listen, you need to calm down, stay in your room, don't be trashing your room no more, yada, yada, yada. And that, I wasn't in a straitjacket or nothing like that. I don't even know if they had a straitjacket. They tied you to that gurney thing, and it strapped your arms, your chest, your head, everything. Like, you couldn't move. So I think they used that in lieu of a straitjacket. So week 4 rolls around. Okay, so now I've been in here almost a month, and I started going to their rehab thing, the rehab class. My roommate, he said it was pretty cool, and I talked to a few counselors. They're like, well, you're not in here for drug-related problems, so you don't need that class. And I was like, well, I want to go to it, whatever. I'm like, well, do you do drugs? So I told him, yeah. I was like, I smoke weed. And so I ended up going to the class. Class is actually pretty cool. All it is a bunch of people your age talking about doing drugs. I mean, when you're in a mental institution, there's nothing else to do. Might as well go talk about the streets. So I did that and stuff, and I think it was like a week long thing, and then you graduate and get a certificate and stuff, saying you're a good boy. Still have yet to see a counselor. I'm in there for mental health issues. I still haven't talked to a counselor. It's like day 20 something, and I think it's day 26. I finally see a counselor, and I keep asking, why is it taking so long? I've been in here, a month. Why is this our first sit down? And she doesn't want to talk about that. Like, none of them care about your stay in this hospital. They don't give a shit. So she asks me my story. I tell her my story. I'm like, I'm not freaking crazy. I don't need to be in here. I need outpatient counseling. I just need a therapist that shows up to their meetings and takes me serious and knows how to deal with the problems I have. And the lady's actually like, she kind of understands. So I was like, all right, we got a glimmer of hope. Still, she was like, I don't know. We're gonna go evaluate your file, and we'll see when, what kind of treatment and stuff you need, and we'll get you a release date and stuff. Okay. Uh, so I'm about to graduate the drug thing, which would have been on day like 27 or something. Is the day after I talked to the counselor. Uh, so I go into my drug program thing, and I was like, I'm supposed to be graduating today. And she's like, no, we don't have you down. You're supposed to get like a coin and a mug and stuff. I earned that damn thing. I did my class, I did my time, give my stuff. She's like, well, you're supposed to have more time or something. I was like, I don't think so. Like, I talked to the counselor, and she ain't make it sound like nothing. So they come in and they tell me, hey, you're going home in 2 days. The counselor told me that. I was like, I'm not crazy. I knew I wasn't crazy. I've been telling these people this whole time, I'm not fucking crazy. Y'all are crazy. Okay? Scratchy lady's crazy. That one that just has only drooled since I've been here, that one's crazy. The other ones are smoking crack and beating people half to death with pool balls. Like, I'm just sad. Send me home. So I'm about to go home next day. Bam, got my stuff packed. We're ready to go. Go to the drug thing. I was like, hey, give me my stuff. Like, I'm going home tomorrow. They're like, we don't have you releasing. We got everybody's release dates here. You ain't got one. And so now I'm like, the damn counselor lied to me. So lose hope again. Like, I'm not going home. I haven't talked to my mom. I don't get a phone call. I don't get to do anything. And the next day comes, I get released. Like, they're like, hey, you're going. And I was like, well, they owe me my coin and my cup, which this cup almost takes my life in another story. This damn cup. It was a little coffee mug, like the old plastic ones with the stupid lid. It said Royal Oaks Hospital on it and had a tree on it. That's my cup. You had to take your cup everywhere. You drinking after these monsters. So I go down there. She's like, "You're not." I was like, "I'm going home. Give me my coin." So they end up giving me my coin. I lost the coin. No idea where the coin is, but I kept the mug for a long time. And I get released to my mom. Now, I don't really like my mom at this point. I feel like she put me through a bunch of shit that I didn't need to go through. With some scary times. I thought I was crazy. I wasn't going home. Um, Now this is just another situation slammed on top of everything else I've been going through. Nothing happened. I talked to a counselor one time and she just made me a release date. So I was in there for, I think 28, 29, 30 days, something like that, with no therapy. I didn't talk to anybody about my problems, my issues, nothing. The only thing I did was sit in a mental institution that basically like jail. And I got thrown in a padded room once for not being crazy and losing my temper. And so after this, I really started like criminal stuff, like burglaries, a few breaking and enterings, doing a lot of breaking into cars, and slid into some hard drugs and really tipped. And I really didn't give any shit about whether I lived, whether I died, whether I was sent to jail. I didn't care. Like nothing mattered. Like the only thing that mattered was I was either going to die or I was going to feel something. And, the rush of, kicking in somebody's front door, unfortunately, or robbing a car or something, or doing some heavy duty drugs was like the only way to feel when you're dead inside. So that's what I did. Did a lot of that. I did end up finding a good counselor, and it was actually the only counselor that was free. Could you believe that? Some old preacher. He was like 70 years old. I wasn't religious, never been religious. So he was one of the last on the list. Well, after we whittled down all the other professionals that are $120, $175 an hour, we find this guy that's free, and he just let me talk and listen, and he didn't try to convert me or anything. He just kind of let me talk my problems out. And it turned out it was about all I needed. I just needed to like somebody to talk to. Didn't really have anybody, so he actually helped the most. And then I figured out that if you just say F everybody's opinions, nobody's opinion about you matters, and that you're responsible for your own happiness or your own downfall, whatever you don't like about your life is your fault. So you could either learn to laugh or you're going to spend a lot of time crying. And at this point I was done crying, so I was like, well, let's see what this other thing's about. And it also taught me how to never tell anybody my true feelings, because at this point, my mom found out my true feelings that I wanted to commit suicide, and it led to one of the worst 30 days I've ever had in my life. So it was better to just deal with your emotions and not talk about them. Still bites me in the ass today. I'm still in that mind frame. I don't like to talk to anybody. But padded room is no fun. And when you're a sane person in a mental institution, it is an uphill battle to get out of that place. That's crazy. So I did 30 days in a mental institution and spent three hours in a bloody padded room because I was sad. Anyway, there was some fun being had. We were snorting Demerol off a toilet. Beats making clay pots. And that's my story. I think my next one I'm going to tell is a fight story. A funny one. I got my ass kicked bad. Got jumped. So hopefully that's my next one. There's enough sad stuff bringing me down. But if you have a story similar to this, or one that you would like to tell the world, hit me up. Let's talk about it. See what your story's like. Until then.